So I made it pretty clear last season as the playoffs were close that I was scared of Miami, given that I'm a Celtics fan and there was a potential for a 1 seed versus 8th seed first round matchup. And I was scared because Miami was just flat out awesome for the majority of the second half of the season last year, as they went from 19 games under 500 to finish right at 41-41. They didn't make the postseason, but that's pretty impressive nonetheless. They did it with Eric Spoelstra's offense, which is a lot of passing and a lot of movement. You know, one guy might come up at the perimeter to receive a pass, and then another guy will quickly get an off-ball screen where he could then have like a driving lane to the basket if his guy couldn't get around the screen, or if not, they just continue the movement, and a lot of good things came out of it. And if they weren't doing that, then it was Goran Dragic getting a screen from Hassan Whiteside, being spread out with shooters, Dion Waiters, Wayne Ellington, Luke Babbitt, and then stuff was happening from that. Or it was Dion Waiters isolations and then Dion just playing way better than he's ever played in his NBA career. The question is, can these guys continue this into this next season? Are they going to be among the Celtics and the Cavs and the Raptors and the Wizards as like the better teams in the East? I mean, Cleveland's still the best team and I'm still going to pick them to make the finals, but in terms of seeding, can they be up there? I think so. I think there are some risks though. The big question is if Dion Waiters is legit or not. I was concerned with him when I was talking about him for free agency, if I was a team looking to acquire him, because, like I just said, for a decent amount of his career, he's been a guy who's taken questionable shots, not shot well from the field, and he just wasn't that good. And then this season, this previous season now, he got in shape, started creating his own shots more, beating guys off the dribble, averaging like 4 assists a game for like a 2-month stretch, I want to say, hitting big shots for them, hitting those contested shots that often were questionable, and suddenly you just have a much better player. Do I think he's just going to continue that this season? I mean, if he was really going to continue that, then that would make him one of the better shooting guards in the NBA. That's a tall task. I don't know if I can really commit to that, but I do think he can definitely be better than what he has been for the majority of his NBA career, and he'll still have some exciting moments, I'm sure. The other one is James Johnson, who's kind of like a not as good LeBron, given his size and ball handling and playmaking abilities. If he can still be your 6th man and still be in shape for you, which is a huge thing for Miami, is all their guys just actually being ready to play, then yeah, I think they can be still pretty damn good. And then another huge one is Justice Winslow. Where is Winslow going to be in his career given the injury he had, which made him miss a large chunk of time? Defensively, these guys were already really good, and I have to give Hassan Whiteside credit. I do think he has improved as an overall defender. I think for a while he was just a rim protector who wasn't that good defending outside of the paint, and I still wouldn't put him to like DeAndre Jordan or Rudy Gobert levels of that sort of thing, but he's gotten better to the point where I do think he's a strong overall defender. So you have him and Justice Winslow, Dion Waiters, who was actually pretty decent on defense, and Spoelstra, who just knows how to coach defense. These guys could be one of the best teams in the NBA at just stopping their opponents, which makes your offense better. I mean, Goran Dragic would be probably one of the better guys in the NBA when it comes to the open floor, having the ball in his hands. He's very crafty, even if he's not like ridiculously athletic. So there's a system there for these guys to be successful. I think it would start on the defensive side of the floor. But what's Winslow going to give you offensively? Am I expecting him to be a 3-point shooter this season? No. If it happens, then awesome, but I mean, he hasn't been a 3-point shooter at all in his career. Well, to be fair, he didn't play much in his second season, but I'm just not going to expect him to be like some awesome outside shooter, but if he shows some progression, then great. My question with Winslow is, where do you play him? He's naturally a small forward who can also play the 4 position. But you have Rodney McGruder, And Magruder put in a lot of time for them this previous year, also as a really good defender. I believe he was a rookie who was just ready to play defense in the NBA immediately. Of course, Winslow's the better player. He has more creation abilities. He also has way higher of a ceiling than Magruder would. So I assume you start Winslow. I honestly don't know who plays the power forward position because Luke Babbitt, they're letting him go. He was their starting 4 for their big run. I don't know if you start James Johnson there. You could, and you could have a really switchy defense, and you'd be like really athletic, but maybe you'd want more of a floor spacer at that small ball 4 position. Now, can that power forward be Kelly Olynyk, who they just recently signed? As a shooter, sure, but I don't know if Olynyk is mobile enough to defend NBA power forwards. One of the reasons he's had to play center is because while he can move around the floor okay, if you're asking him to defend guys who are basically just small wings, I think he's going to have some problems there. But I don't know, maybe Spoelstra will be able to work that out. Maybe Olynyk could play next to Whiteside, and maybe he really would be that floor spacer for them. And if that's the case, then okay, you got your guy. But I don't know, I'm weary of that one. I don't know, I mean, can Okaro White play the small ball 4? Who the hell knows? So they're going to have to find some there. I think one guy who would have made sense for them was Ersan Ilyasova, who went for about $6 million to Atlanta, but it didn't happen, so I don't know. But if we can talk about how they compare to the rest of the Eastern Conference, I'm pretty sure Whiteside would just kill the Celtics on the boards. I'm starting to believe that Aaron Baines will be starting at center for the Celtics, just being a tough guy who can grab some rebounds for them, which is good, but there's still not a lot of strong rebounders on that team, and I do think they're still going to be vulnerable for giving up offensive rebounds, which Hassan Whiteside can grab plenty of. Also, given that Spoelstra is just a smart head coach, you could attack Isaiah Thomas. If Isaiah is defending Dragic, then maybe isolations or screens, and I mean, ideally they would have Isaiah switch onto someone or whatever. But Spoelstra is a smart head coach. I think he would find ways to attack Isaiah. Even if he's defending like Magruder or Josh Richardson, he'll still find ways to force Isaiah to play defense. I think against a team like the Toronto Raptors, I think Whiteside is way too athletic for Valanciunas to deal with. So you could just run screens with Dragic and Whiteside, and I just think Jonas would just get kind of stuck in the middle there. And also, depending on who they would have at the small ball 4, they could stretch out the Raptors' defense and get Serge Ibaka out of like the paint area. It would depend on who it is, though. I do think that power forward position is going to be really important for them. Because even if Luke Babbitt wasn't that good of a player, at least the defense had to respect him and not leave him wide open for 3, which allowed Miami to do a lot of things offensively. Then if we talk about how they would match up against the Wizards, I mean, the Wizards' bench is still probably going to suck this year. Unless Kelly Oubre makes a huge jump, which I don't see him really doing. And Miami's always really good at having guys coming off the bench and being effective. I mean, like I said, James Johnson's back. Tyler Johnson is still a ball handler off the bench. Wayne Ellington is a shooter. Plus, these guys are always great at like finding guys throughout the season that they signed to like a 2-year contract, and then he plays 20 minutes a game for them. So I definitely think there are reasons for other Eastern Conference teams to fear what Miami's got going on here. But of course, the Heat are not perfect. I'm still wary of how good Dion Waiters actually is. And once again, that power forward spot. So I think Miami's good, man.